folks, welcome to week number 3 of Interpersonal Communications Online, fall of 2013. This week we're going to be working on Chapter 2. Just a quick note about Chapter 2, I have quite a few students who comment to me that it seems so different than the rest of the chapters, and it is. So I just want to give you a little heads up if you haven't read Chapter 2 yet. It is much more theoretical, it's much more abstract, in the information that's presented in the chapter. Hang in there. It can be a little tough reading. Don't get frustrated. And know that once you jump back into Chapter 3, it goes back to being very concrete, very understandable language. But Chapter 2 can be a real challenge. So take good notes. If you don't understand concepts or terms in the chapter, look them up, kind of do that extra step to make sure that you're understanding the concepts presented. The good news about week number 3 is that your discussion posting number 1 that is due with 2 responses to your classmates by Wednesday, September 12th. The question actually relates back to Chapter 1 as it deals with communication competence. So don't be too concerned. I mean, you do need to read Chapter 2 and understand it because you have a quiz that's due on Friday, September 13th. But the actual discussion posting that you're going to be writing on Wednesday is over Chapter 1. So, but do take good notes. Hopefully, as you're preparing for your quizzes, you're following the 4-step method that I recommended, which is to print out those PowerPoint slides, use those for your note-taking structure as you go through each chapter, and then making sure to complete vocabulary for each of the chapters, reviewing your PowerPoint slide notes, reviewing your vocabulary right before you're taking the quiz. I have seen a couple of you that are struggling a little bit with quizzes, so my recommendation is if you didn't do as well on that first quiz as you would have liked to, shake it up, do something different. Remember, Einstein's definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So if you didn't get the results on quiz number 1 that you were hoping for, do something different. And it might just mean that you need to take maybe a little more time with the reading. Maybe you need to do more detailed note-taking. But you know, try something different until you get the results that you're looking for on your quizzes. Okay, so again, just to recap, week number 3 is what we're working on, September 9th through September 15th. The Chapter 2 study and read is Chapter 2. 2 assignments due this week, discussion posting number 1 with 2 responses to classmates that are due by 11:59 on Wednesday, September 11th. Remember that each discussion posting needs to be up in that 150 word mark, and 2 responses to classmates are 50 to 75 words each. So I do recommend that you create your discussion posting and your responses in Word first, double checking for grammar and spelling and punctuation, and then making sure to copy and paste them into the discussion posting area. Please don't attach a document. It's great to use, for example, Word to do your spell check, your word count, and your grammar and all of that, but I do want you to copy and paste. And depending on the browser that you're using, it might be different. Now, I use Google Chrome as my browser, and when I copy and paste into D2L, I do have to use I have to highlight the material I want to copy, use Control-C, and then to copy it, and then when I get into D2L to post it, for example, into the discussion posting area, I would use Control-V then to paste things. So work ahead a little bit so that you're not, struggling last minute if you do have some issues with copying and pasting. Okay, I'm going to leave the schedule and I'm going to move ahead to a document that I created just to kind of help explain what we're looking for in our discussion postings. Here's the first discussion posting that you're going to be answering this week. And there's actually 2 questions this week. What are some examples of knowledge that would lead to improved communication competence in your life and relationships? And then what motivates you to be a better communicator? So as you're answering these questions, make sure that you do answer both of them. This is just a recap then below it of the grading criteria. This is the same grading criteria that is listed on the form that I handed out at the orientation sessions. Also available underneath the Content tab under Discussion Postings, Description, and Grading rubric. So here's what you're looking to do in your postings. You need to display a clear and in-depth understanding of the reading, including 4 definitions from our text with page numbers. Your ability to apply and cite concepts in your discussion posting shows me that you read and that you understood the material enough that you can actually apply it. You also need to clearly address the question, provide an original and thoughtful answer, and remember that in order to see everybody else's discussion postings, you do have to post first. You will not be allowed to see anybody else's postings until you have posted your own discussion posting. And that really does help, I think, in providing an original answer. Sometimes in discussion posting forums you do kind of get duplication, and so that does help if you have to do your own first. Your posting needs to clearly connect ideas from various readings and your own experiences. It needs to use specific and detailed examples from your own communication experiences to support opinions or statements. It needs to be written entirely in your own words. It needs to be free of grammar or mechanical errors. And again, remembering that even though it is a discussion forum, and it kind of almost seems natural for those of you who maybe text quite a bit, to use a texting type language with abbreviations or no capitalization or no punctuation. But do remember that this is a college level writing course, so you do need to make sure that you use college level writing mechanics. So grammar and punctuation and spelling all need to be at that college level. So notice though that 4 definitions from our text with page numbers and specific and detailed examples from your own communication experiences are in red. That tells you as a student that those are critical elements of the grading criteria, and so you need to make sure that you have for sure those 2 pieces in there, because those are going to be a lot of the critical criteria for evaluating your posting. Okay, so what I have below here is just a sample discussion posting. It's not perfect by any means, but I think it's a pretty good example of how one student might approach this assignment. This particular student starts out by saying, I have 3 examples of knowledge that would help me improve my communication competence in my life and relationships. The student says, first, this chapter discusses how competent communication is effective. That's on page 24. And then they actually include a quotation. It says, competent communicators make their goals become realized by communicating them well to others. This is a skill that I'm going to need when I become a paramedic and a firefighter, because I'm going to have to be able to communicate clear goals with my coworkers and the public. So you see the student is doing both of those key pieces there, in that she's including a definition from the textbook, that shows that she read it. She goes on then to give you an example from her own life of training to be a paramedic and a firefighter, and discussing how that would be true for her. The student goes on to write, the second thing this chapter discusses is how competent communication is appropriate, page 24 and 25. This means you have to know the right things to say at the right time or place. An example of this would be when you are with your friends, you can talk openly and not worry about what you're going to say, whereas at work you need to talk in a respectable manner and not be rude to one another. Now, as you read through this, is one of the things I just want to point out, and again, this is not a perfect discussion posting. The way that this student has manner spelled is not correct. It should be M-A-N-N-E-R for respectable manner. This student, the way that they've spelled it, manner as in home or large estate. So, really make sure that you're not only spell checking, but that you're going through and making sure that you have the right word in the right space. Student goes on to say, while working on this skill, I can improve my relationships at work, with my family, and with my friends. This will help me know what to say and what not to say when it's necessary. The third thing that this section talks about is how competent communications should demonstrate adaptability. Page 25, you change what is not working. With this, I have a tendency to talk very fast, and when I'm trying to get something out. When I do this, the receiver has a hard time understanding me, and I might have to repeat myself multiple times. If I have the knowledge of the way I talk, I can work on not talking so fast so that others can understand me. In closing, I really connected with a statement on page 27 that said, the most you can do in any relationship is 100% of your 50%. This motivates me to learn and apply the concepts and ideas from this course to put in my 100%. This last paragraph is answering that last question. And she says, there are many things that motivates me to become a better communicator. My family, my friends, my coworkers, future jobs all motivate me to improve my communication. Sometimes I have to repeat what I'm saying to coworkers because they don't understand exactly what I'm trying to say. So repeating it once or twice helps them to understand. For my family, it's kind of the same. For the ones that don't quite understand right away, I just have to repeat myself once and they understand. As for my future jobs, I'd like to be able to easily communicate with my coworker and bosses. So the student is answering both questions. Notice that as you look through this sample discussion posting, the student has cited 4 concepts with page numbers and definitions from our textbook. So as we go back up, we do see that the student has met, the 2 critical grading criteria in red, 4 definitions from our text with page numbers cited. The student used specific and detailed examples from their own communication experiences to support opinions or statements. They clearly address both questions. They provide an original and thoughtful answer. They clearly connect ideas from the readings to their experiences. I believe this is written in the student's own words. It's almost free of grammar and mechanical errors, just a couple of mechanical and grammar and that one spelling error that I pointed out to you. But overall, the student does a very strong job with content. So I hope that kind of helps you understand as far as what I'm looking for discussion postings. Again, it's not a perfect example, but I think it gets you up and running to create your own. Again, if you have any questions or you want me to take a look at a rough draft of your discussion posting before you actually post it, I am happy to do that. Also remember that the earlier you post, it gives your classmates a chance to do responses because you do need to respond to 2 classmates. Don't need to cite concepts or anything, you just need to respond to what they're saying. But the earlier you post, then it gives your classmates a chance to get online, read your posting, and then write responses to you. So if you have any questions, please do email me. Have fun with this. Really think and reflect on your own communication to see how it relates to what you're reading. Take care, folks. Have a great week 3.